Now it's live. Hello everybody, my name's Climate Joe. Welcome back to a new Minecraft YouTube live stream. I did a stream, a live Survival Legacy episode earlier on, but we're going to make another one because why not? I was a little bit tired earlier on, I'm alright now. So let's go build something cool. We got a load of oak left over for some trees we took down the other day. Can't remember where we took the trees from, but we took them down from somewhere. Hello 48 Star Flag, welcome to the stream. We did stream earlier on. I do apologise. I ended the stream because I was feeling exhausted. I had a college assignment due in today. I've had two college assignments due in 8 days. So I've been exhausted, to be honest. But then we're gonna stream now because I'm like, why not? Why not stream? We're on Legacy Console Edition. We're gonna think about what to build. We might want to use some of the blocks we've got available at the moment. We've got a load of oak logs that I chopped from some trees, but then I don't actually know where I got these don't actually know where I got this wood from. I can't actually remember where I got this wood from as well. It's okay, soon I'm gonna have to start building my schoolhouse belfry. What is that? I've never heard of one of those 48 Star Flag. I've never heard of a schoolhouse belfry. Is that a thing? I've never heard of that before. I don't know what we should build. We've got a nice smooth spot here because we took a build away from here the other day that I had let become a state of disrepair. Oh, I will admit to everyone, I'm sorry I ended the stream earlier on. It's where the bell is on a schoolhouse. Ah, I didn't know. In the UK, you don't really have those anymore. You don't really have bells on schools anymore. Hello, it's Tamara. Welcome to the stream. I do apologise, everyone. I ended the stream earlier on a little bit early, but I was exhausted. I was exhausted from two college assignments that had been due. I was exhausted from two college assignments that had been due in the space of 8 days. So I've really You're cool, thank you. I'm pretty much exhausted. I'm literally running on fumes. But we're gonna stream. We're gonna build some stuff in Minecraft because why not? And also, oh, that's sad. It isn't. I mean, it's not really sad. I mean, they've been running for the whole year, but it's pretty much it's just a little bit it's a bit unfortunate that two of them were due 8 days apart. And bearing in mind, these were huge assignments that have been running for months. Well, one had been running since October, one had been running since January. So, massive assignments that, Did I make all of this? Yes, this world is I've had this world for a long time. I've had this Minecraft world since 2016. So yeah, I've built all of this since 2016. Some of the original builds aren't here. Some of the original builds aren't here anymore because I knocked a few, but a couple of them still remain. This building over here, this little house here, that was built in 2016. The greenhouse over here was built in 2016 as well, so a couple of these builds still exist from that era. This greenhouse and this greenhouse has existed here for years. I built this in 2016. In fact, if we go down here, oh, we can't do it anymore. We even built a little room here, but we've had to cut into it. We've had to cut into it because we started building this nether room. My house has got so big that we've sort of expanded and expanded a bit. We built like this nether room the other day. But the greenhouse used to lead into here. This is where I found my first diamonds on the world. Right, we're gonna go this way. So this is the little nether room. This is actually straight next to the nether portal. If I go this way, creeper face. We got the big creeper face. It's better for people to see it from this way, I think. We've got the creeper face doorway. This house is huge. It's basically a labyrinth. But yeah, I've had this world since 2016, so it's fairly old. It will be 9 years old in August, so it's a little under 9 years. It's about 8. It's probably about 8 years, 8 months. It's the 4th of April. This is the 4th month of the year, so it's about 8 years, 8 months old. And we're still playing it on the original Legacy Console Edition because we just wanted to. I really love Legacy Console Edition, so I'm happy to just continue playing on here. But because there's been no updates on Legacy Console Edition, we started building whatever comes to our heads. So we've built, I don't know, igloos out of ice, hot air balloons, a huge snow globe because why not? A skyscraper, an upside down tree, a random doorway that leads to nowhere, an igloo out of bookshelves. We built a gold throne. I mean, a house out of nether blocks, a dirt house, the world's smallest Minecraft house. Basically, you name it, we built it just because why not? That's pretty much what I've been aiming to do over recent years, just build what I want. So we built this snow globe, and this is the biggest thing on the world. It's 53 blocks from bottom to top. It's 53 blocks, and it's 32 blocks wide. So it's a very big build. But yeah, there we go. So yeah, so let's just we are going to think about some building some stuff, but I'm happy to just walk around the town for a bit. I need to replace the windows here. That a creeper blew the windows out. We've got the pet shop, we've got the bookshop, the flash food shop. We've got the swimming pool. We got the film studio. I called it Warner Joe's as a joke. We've got Santa's Grotto. We've got the police station, the bank, the hat shop. We've got Hero Park. We've got a World War One memorial because I was playing Minecraft when World War One was 100 years old. So I built a sign commemorating 100 years since World War One. This is the bed shop. So in here we sell beds, and it's actually managed by this cow. The cow works here because the cow walked into here when I was building and physically never left. We've got a police station. We've got Captive's Lip merch shop where he's just built, where he decorate. Basically, I got rid of his original and rebuilt it here. Can't remember what this shop is. Over here, this is not a shop, everyone. This is a bill to commemorate me hitting 5,000 subscribers. I will be back in 2 seconds, guys. I just need to go and check something. Hello everybody, I am back. Hello. I literally just got back. I went AFK for a couple of minutes. Let's just get rid of that. And let's run back to this shop over here, because I know there's a bed in it. There we go. I know there's a bed in this shop. Hello Miriam Alcostali. Welcome to the stream. We are currently live on Legacy Console Edition Minecraft. And we're thinking about what we should build today. We've already done two things. We built a house for Decepted. I'll be back in two. Spanish or English? What do you mean by Spanish or English? Am I Spanish or English? Okay, you know. Yeah, I'm English. I can't really say about Spanish. I can't really say the difference. I can't really say Spanish. Because I don't know any Spanish. I can say hola, which is hello. That's the only thing I can say. So I can't really say what's better, English or Spanish, because I don't know Spanish. Oh, I don't know Spanish. I think you are Decepted. That's a good burp. Sorry. The Spanish princess. Yeah. Hello to everyone that's just joined the stream. Welcome to the stream. We are live on Legacy Console Edition. We're live on Legacy Console Edition, and at the moment, we're building random stuff. We're just building random shit, to be honest. Pretty much that's what I've always been doing. Build. What should we build, everybody? What should we build? I forgot to put the Discord link into the live chat. There we go. So yeah, what we're gonna build, because I wanted to. I was sat there and I didn't feel as tired, so I decided to stream. I don't need their permission, actually. I did bite the dust. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't kill the deputy. What'd you say? You do. It's very true. What shouldest we do here then? Using a bit of this dirt, we're going to add a little bit more of a hill around here. There we go. There we go. Looks nice. I'm going to jump up here. Let's chop a few of these trees down. It's just that these trees aren't actually here. There never were any trees around here. And, well, not initially. There we go. There we go. That's perfect. So how is everyone in this stream tonight? I'll be back. We're just gonna fix some creeper explosions. There. So, it's nice. Where should we go and fix now? Here we go. That's perfect. Just making this look. We're just making this look a tad nicer. We're going to leave that because of the polar bear. The polar bear practically lives there. We're just going to use the last of this dirt just to, you know, free up some space. I'm just clearing my inventory, pretty much. There we go. Perfect. We should swap this to be we should swap that to be like something for villagers, and they could use that. I know. I know this is a very random place to say this, but does anyone have an idea for an argument essay? I need to make a debate on a specific topic of your choosing. No, I mean that's a comment in the stream. That's a genuine comment in the stream. Just to let everybody know, I'm on Discord with a few people. Decepted suggested Andrew Tate as an argument debate. What is your suggestion then? Thanks. Oh, the guys just commented thanks. No, I don't. Not to what you said, but although Andrew Tate would be a good example. I mean, if everyone's suggesting it, is there any good films I should use for my dissertation? What's that? That's a cheap effort. I swear I always see this Nightbot thing. What is it? Nightbot. Hello, Simeon Man 2011. I'm just gonna mute myself on Discord for 2 seconds. Basically, Nightbot is a bot that is a outside. Nightbot is an outside bot that the streamer can program to specific things. So Nightbot is basically if you pair Nightbot with your channel, it can do certain things. So for me, Nightbot right now is promoting my Discord server, and it's promoting one of my novels, but it's also posting comments about being kind and respectful in the stream, which is comments that I've set for it to say. And Nightbot will also moderate your stream for you. So Nightbot has the power to turn around and get rid of like racial slurs from the stream. It has permission to do certain stuff. It's basically a moderator. It's basically your personal moderator if you don't have a moderator. If you get what I mean. It's basically like a personal moderator, and basically it will moderate your streams for you. Yeah, I'll Google what Nightbot is. Nightbot. Nightbot is a free popular chatbot for live streaming platforms like Twitch and YouTube designed to automate moderation, manage chat, and enhance viewer engagement with features like custom commands, timed messages, and giveaways. Obviously, there won't be a giveaway on my stream because obviously I don't do giveaways. Because obviously I can't do giveaways because obviously I'm not monetized, so I can't afford to do giveaways. I do shout out giveaways. I do not shout out giveaways, but I do give shout outs out. But I can't afford to do giveaways. I mean, I don't earn a penny off this channel, everybody. So you said novel. You what? Yeah, I do write novels, and they are published. They publish on Amazon. So I've just wrote a novel called. I've wrote a book series called Dawn of Planets. Sup? I just found you live on the shorts again. I'm just gonna take my headphones off. Because I was on a Discord VC. No one can hear what's being said, but I just took my headphones off for now. Yeah, so basically I wrote a book series called Dawn of Planets, and it follows the main character, Agent One. And basically he's the main character of the Dawn of Planets series. So there's 3 stories at the moment. There's the Attack from Space, Dawn of Planets Vengeance. There's Dawn of Planets The Attack from Space, Dawn of Planets Vengeance, and Dawn of Planets The Gathering Storm, which the Gathering Storm released about a month and a bit. It's science fiction. It's science fiction slash. It's basically it's low. It's science fiction style fantasy. It's basically lo-fi. It's basically lo-fi. Lo-fi sort of stands for whether basically it's a science fiction story, but it takes place in London. It takes place in a real world setting. What's my novel about? It follows the main character, Agent One, who's basically a young agent. He's basically a young soldier, and he's the best. He's pretty much rises to become the best in the world. And throughout the first 2 novels, he's basically trying to repel an alien race called the Zarodians, who are fighting a guerrilla war on the. They're fighting a guerrilla war in the fields, in the cities and fields of the United Kingdom, and it's sort of a lo-fi story because it's a science fiction story. It's a fully sci-fi and fantasy story, but it takes place on the streets of the United Kingdom. Which lo-fi, you have lo-fi and hi-fi. So hi-fi is where lo-fi is like Harry Potter or the Shannara Chronicles, where basically it might be fantasy, but it's set on a real world. It's set on Earth. And then your sort of hi-fi is like your Game of Thrones, your Lord of the Rings, set on its own sort of world. But yeah, so the genre is science fiction, and it follows the main character, Agent One, on his rise to being the greatest soldier of all. Joe is muted. I muted on Discord, yes, because I was trying to reply to someone's comment. I'll join back in 2 seconds. Accepted. So yeah, the novel follows the main character, Agent One, on his rise from being a bullied and hello Jorge, welcome to the stream. I did get your name right, didn't I? It is Jorge. I did get the name right. Because I always used to think it was pronounced George, but then I think it's Jorge. And people can turn around. That's something I'm really interested in. So as the story progresses into its 3rd, and I'm writing the 4th at the moment, the main character, it necessarily isn't all good. And as the story progresses, as he gets older, he gets darker, if you get what I mean. So that's one of my sort of things that I'm going with, looking at, is the main character is the overall main villain of the whole series isn't necessarily all evil, but the main character. So he gains major character, yeah. But it's also as well the main. It's sort of a hyperbole if the main villain of the whole series isn't exactly all evil, but the main protagonist isn't exactly all good, and it's sort of to the point of they're both two monsters. They're both two monsters, but to their own sides, they are on the right side of history. and it sort of follows that concept of the main character of no matter whose side of the war you're on, the leader of each side is always the enemy of the other side. So the whole thing of the story is the main character isn't a good guy, but the only reason, but it goes into the quote as well. It goes into the quote of sometimes you need an evil man to take out to stop an even eviler man. Sometimes you need a monster to stop a monster. If you get what I mean. But when you said that character development, I hate character development when it's done wrong. How young do you think I am? I'm not young. Well, I say I'm young. I'm youngish. I'm not young. Actually, everybody guess how old I am. Well, you are right. I am in my 20s. Me too. No, not 26. Not yet. Not yet. Not for another 3 years. Well, 3.5. Yeah, well, nearly 23. Not for another 22. Yeah, I'm not 23 for another couple of months. Well, I'm not 22 for another 8 months. So I'm not 23 for another 8 months. But yeah, I'm not young. I'm youngish, but I don't see myself as young. Well, I still am young, really. But yeah, I've always wanted. Yeah, pretty much. You seem very. How old are you? Because I've always wanted to write a novel, but I suck at making instructions. You have to start world building, introducing characters. I do it the other way around. I do it the other way around. I'm very bad at describing. I'm very bad at describing places. So I have quite a photographic memory. So I have quite a photographic memory. So I will look at I have quite a photographic memory. So of course I sort of look at I sort of can really picture what I want the setting looks like. So for example, in the Gathering Storm, one of the offices, the main offices of state in the Dawn of Plants, the Gathering Storm, I know what that looks like 100%, but I can't describe what it looks like in words. But I know what it looks like in my head. I'm very bad at describing stuff, but I mainly got into writing because of my favourite book, The Outsiders, A Beautiful Story. Yeah, I've been this story I'm talking about. I come up with in 2014. I come up with the idea. No, I come up with this story in 2012 when I was 10 years old. And it's basically became something else. And I can tell you all, everybody, what the initial idea was compared to what it become. And I was generally 10 years old when I come up with the Dawn of Plants story. Well, when I come up with the first story, the first and it was just an idea I had, a fun idea. I don't know I don't know where it come from. It was just in my head. Um, but yeah, So I can tell you all how I come up with the idea of the attack from space, and it started out as a character on the run from an evil uncle. It started with a character locked up. It's one of those. I don't really establish the characters per se. I sort of do it a bit differently. I don't describe the characters, so I don't describe the characters. I don't describe the characters. I only describe a little bit about them. So, for example, Agent 1 in the attack from space, he's 12 years old. Agent 1, don't want to pronounce the attack from space, he's 12 years old. He's 4'7". He's wearing a grey metal suit with a black cape. He's 4'7" and he's skinny and has blonde hair. And that's the only thing I've described about him. And that's the way I think it should be. I don't describe the characters because I want young people to read them and so they can imagine themselves as that character. If you get what I mean. It's that's the way I do it. I just noticed a tree which was looking a bit bare. Yeah, so getting the story done faster, yeah. And it's also as well, I sort of write it down weirdly. I don't plot the story. I plot where the character needs to be, so I can open up an example if anyone wants to see it. Well, I can read out the example, I mean. Let's open this Word document. Maybe, right, I don't want to open a Word, I want to search for a word. This will do, chapter 1. So in this book that I never wrote, in this book that I never got around to writing, from last year, I know that I always write what should happen where the story needs to be at the end of the chapter. So at the end of chapter 1, I needed the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom to be dead and a new acting Prime Minister to be in power. That's the only thing that I put down about that chapter. What else happened? What else happens is irrespective of the end. I just know that right at the end, this needs to happen. This needs to have happened by the end of the story. And I've done that with every story I've done. So every story I've done, I've just mapped out where the character needs to be. So if it's the attack from space, I know that you need to meet the Zarodian king by the end of chapter 1 to explain that this invasion's coming. So in chapter 2, you need to meet by the end of chapter 2, you need to meet Agent 1 and you need to establish the hell that he's been through for the last year. And then by the end of chapter 3, he needs to arrive back at his agency that he created 2 years before. He needs to have got back there and resumed command. And by chapter 4, by the end of chapter 4, I need the aliens to start to turn up. And then it sets the rest of the story in motion, if you get what I mean. So how the characters get there is by the way of the story, but I just know what needs to happen by the end of the chapter. If you get what I mean. I haven't overly complicated that, have I? I've only been writing for 7 years. Do I write small summaries? No, not really. Sometimes I do. I will admit, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just a couple of words, like Agent 1 needs to sign the Treaty of Catan. The Treaty of Catan is a part of one of the books, but it's not a major part until the next book that I'm working on. So, I mean, I've been writing stories since I was 12, but I never did anything with them. I've only really been writing properly. I've only been writing properly now since 2023, but I'm not doing it professionally, if you get what I mean. Even though I'm publishing books, I've got nothing back from it. So, and I only started writing. The one story that changed it for me, that changed it for me, was a book I wrote called Archipelago, which is on Amazon. It's the whole concept of that story is a group of people wash up in an island, a group of bodies wash up in an island, and after they come to, they have no recollection of who they are or how they got there. So the whole story is about the tension as they've got to try and get over what their shock of what's happened to them, because they got to band together to survive. Because if they argue, if they fight, they're all going to die. And this story was what changed it for me. I was like, after I finished writing it, I was just bored. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna write this story that I come up with because I wanted to get back at my film production lecturer for his feedback he gave me. And when I finished writing it, I was like, this is actually good. I'm gonna publish it. And the book itself took me 3 months to write. It took me 3 months to write the book. Yeah, so yeah, pretty much what I do, I write down a small summary, and it explains just what should happen at the end of the what should happen by needs to happen by the end of the chapter, and then however that happens is by way of the story and the way I'm writing it. So, um, for example, in my book Archipelago that I wrote in 2020, the first book, my first actual novel that I've published. Hold on, I've got a copy of it here. Does anyone want me to read a bit? Anyone want me to read a bit? I mean, this is a genuine copy. What is so interesting about writing for you in general? Also, yes, I'll do that in a sec. What's so interesting? I just love telling stories because I was bullied when I was younger. I was bullied when I was younger because I'm fairly short. I was bullied because I was fairly short. I was bullied because I was skinny, and then I gained weight, and I was bullied because I was being fat. But my escapism was films and TV, and I just love telling stories. And those telling stories, even this Minecraft world, to be honest, I've even got a story in this Minecraft world. Stories, films, TV stories, they all were my escapism from being bullied, and I just want to give that back. If you get what I mean, I just want to give that back. These films, these stories that I love, they give me so much joy. I just want to encourage people to. I just want to encourage people. I just want to entertain people. I want someone to go from read one of my books and go, I enjoyed that. That's the only thing I want from it. So, bodies were slumped across the beach, with the bitterly cold waves crashing into them every few moments as birds sang and flew throughout the sky. All was quiet, all was tranquil. Suddenly the quietness was a thing of the past. Noises of grumbles and movement filled the air. As the bodies broke the quiet, they seemed to be waking up, their eyes dumbfounded by their location, by the looks of them, and by how their mouths were gouging. were gasping with what looked like shock. One could draw the conclusion they had no idea how they got there. They all started rising to their feet on a large beach some 900 yards across, with the beautiful turquoise oceans that stretched as far as the eye could see across the horizon. The beach itself was covered in warm white sand. It had been basked in the sun for most of the day. The group were quite scared at first, and some were wailing, some were shouting, and a man amongst them turned his head, getting a view of the location as he was in, but again perplexed about how he got there and how he'd arrived at this place. Meanwhile, another man walked over and said, "Excuse me, sir. You don't happen to know how we got there?" he asked. "I'm sorry, I'm just as puzzled as you. I don't know how we got here either," the guy said. The other guy, while quietly scratching an itch that had appeared on the end of his nose. "Well, thanks anyway. What's your name, by the way?" the man said, thanking him. "My name is, well, I don't remember," he said, panicking. "How do I not remember my own name?" the guy said nervously. "Well, my name... hold on, I can't remember my name. Oh, my name either. I know the Minecraft movie's out today. I'm just reading my book at the moment, actually." The other man said, whilst both men were completely baffled. They both looked around without confusion, only retaking their composure when a man shouted from the other end of the group, "How did I get here? Which one of you did it? Which one of you abducted me? Which one of you was it? What's my name? Why can't I remember my name?" "Who did it?" he cried. "At the moment, none of us can remember our names, which is slightly concerning, to be honest, but we need to not worry about that now. We need to focus on the night, on the right here, right now. It's going to get dark soon, and who knows what's going to be out there at night here," said a girl who was trying to take command. There we go. I read down to the bottom of page 2. There we go. This was the first book I ever published in December 9th, 2023. It's called Archipelago. And it's all set on an archipelago. And it's all about a group of people. They've washed up on an island. They have no recollection of who they are or how they got there. So the whole horror is that basically they're on an island and they don't remember how they got there. And they don't remember who they are, so it leads to some comical names. I haven't quite got the belfry built yet, but we'll see. Cool. I mean, I haven't built anything on this stream. I've been talking about novel writing. Do you guys want to know why I started writing novels? And it was to get back at my film production lecturer because he ripped my script apart and rewrote the script. Do you want to know the feedback he gave me? And this is the worst feedback you'll ever hear in your life. Honestly, when I tell people this story, everybody's like, "Yeah, that's wrong." Does everyone want to know the feedback I got? So he rewrote the script, and this is a lecturer. This is a guy that's paid to teach. This is the guy that's paid to teach students how to improve their film production, because he's a film production lecturer. How to improve their scripts, how to improve their So basically, I was given my film idea was picked as our FMP, our final major project. So my short film idea was going to become a genuine short film. We had a genuine budget as well. We had £3,000. We had £3,000 to shoot it, and the feedback I got was, so he took the script, rewrote it, and then he had the cheek to tell me, "Compared to what you wrote, this is the work of a genius." So basically, that was it. "Compared to what you wrote, this is the work of a genius." How is that meant to teach someone where they can improve? But honestly, how can you tell someone how to improve if you get feedback like that? Compared to what you wrote, this is the work of a genius. Like, that's just. I went away from that, and I was like, exactly. Yeah, how are you meant to teach? How are you meant to teach it and learn anything from that? And so I went away. I literally said to a guy in my class who I still talk to now, and I said to him, I said, "I'm gonna go in the summer." I said, "In the summer, I'm gonna go and write a novel, and just to show that I can write." and I wrote Archipelago. Wait, I did write a poem a while ago. Do you want to hear it? Yeah, why not? Poetry's a really interesting topic. I had to study a lot of poetry in school actually, because in the UK they used to force you to study X amount of poems, and you had to remember all 20 of them. For for the exam, you had to remember all 20 of them off by heart. And the only one I can remember, the only two I can remember now, the only one I can remember now is one called "How Can You Tell What Class I'm From?" How can you tell what class I'm from? Because I don't live in some little semi out. Where are we? How can you tell what class I'm from just because I don't say I say ta to me mum, not bye mummy dear. It's that's the only poem I can remember, and we had to do it was all on conflict. And honestly, everybody, the only two poems I remember, the only two conflict poems I remember was that I had to learn was this one called "How Can You Tell What Class I'm From?" and "The Charge of the Light Brigade." And the Charge of the Light Brigade's a true story. It's generally where the British Light Brigade went into war against Russian tanks and got obliterated. No, Russian tanks, I mean Russian cannons, sorry, tanks didn't exist then. And the reason they called them the Light Brigade was because they were light. They just had a horse and sword. That's the only two poems I remember. Charge of the Light Brigade and How Can You Tell What Class I'm From? I don't know if that's what it was called. I just remember the first line. How can you tell what class I'm from? My Scouse accent isn't very good. I used to be better at it when I took drama when I was in school. How can you tell what class I'm from? It's becoming nighttime again, I think, so we're going to quickly hop into here. Carrie and Carl lost cows home, but one of the cows has disappeared now. I can't even get through the front door. I kept on rising through the storm. Let me reread that. I kept on rising through the storm, an endless tide, until the sun could touch my petals, proof I was meant to rise. That's really good. I love quotes. I love quotes. So one thing I always try and make as much quotes as possible before I write. I do have the one thing I do though, even though by way of the story, I always plan. I always plan obviously what should happen by the end of the chapter. But I do have a lot of notes. Isaac. Oh, fucking unaccepted. I know you're gonna say. So, I know what you're gonna say. Yeah, so I write quotes. I write quotes of books all the time. So, I wrote quotes all the time for books. So I wrote a fair few. Let me find. Let me randomly find a quote. Yeah, hello, Decepted. I'm just gonna quickly. I'm gonna leave Discord because I didn't realize I was still on it. What's this notification? Oh, that'd be my Discord server notification. It's just a notification saying I'm live. Let me just find my notes. Let me just find my book notes, everybody, because I'll put a quote in. You'll send it in half. You'll put a poem in half. All right. I'm just gonna find my book quotes. Here's a quote I've just found, everybody, from my Dawn of Planet stuff. There's only one way, my way. I was planted in the silence, buried deep in heavy night. The world above felt far away. I still reached for the light. That's really good. I really like that. The waters tried to hold me, pull me under. Keep. Let me reread that. The waters tried to hold me, pull me, keep me low. But even through the sinking weights, I thought I would not let go. Yeah. Through the mud I kept on rising, through the storm and endless tide, until the sun could touch my petals, proof I was meant to rise. That is a really nice. That's a really nice poem. That's a real nice quote. Let me find. I'm gonna find a real nice quote. I'm gonna find a good quote. Let me just find a quote. I've got thousands of quotes that I've wrote for books. I've got thousands of quotes that I wrote for books over the last few years. Um, here's one. I found a quote. To dream is to believe. To dream is to believe. To believe is to inspire, and to inspire leads to change. I love quotes. I love them. My favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes ever, is Winston Churchill to this lady that was um it's called Lotus Through the Mud, since lotus flowers symbolize getting through situations and struggle, overcoming something. I also love quotes. Yeah. One of my favourite quotes ever is Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister during World War II. A Nazi sympathizer said to him, a female Nazi sympathizer said to him, "Oh, if I was your wife, I'd poison your drink." And he turned around and said to her, "And if I was your husband, I'd drink it because you're ugly." Fair enough. And he was a real good with some of the quotes. There was another one with Winston Churchill where a lady turned around and said he called him out for being drunk, and he went, "Well, I can be sober in the morning. The same can't be said for you." And he was calling her basically he was calling her ugly. Quotes are great. Fair enough. Yeah. There was another great one where Clement Attlee, he was the Labour leader, leader of the Labour Party during the 1930s and 1950s. He was a Lord Privy Seal during the war, and he sent a letter to some about he needed to speak to Winston Churchill. But the Lord Privy Seal needs you to sign something. Winston Churchill happened to be on the shitter, and Winston Churchill turned around and told his butler, he went, "You can tell the Lord Privy Seal I'm sealed on the privy, and I can only deal with one shit at a time." And some of the stuff that is quotes is brilliant. Yeah, quotes are amazing. Ever, I love them. Oh, I love this one actually. This is from my Dawn of Plants. This is from my Dawn of Plants book, everybody. Agent One is and always be what Agent. Let me rewrite that. Let me reread that. This is from my Dawn of Plants series. Agent One is and always will be the greatest man. He knew very much he could lose the war, but he built up this incredible aura that he was unconquerable, truly unconquerable, and that he was the greatest in history. There was no one better. It was his way or the bloody highway. I can't be the only one who doesn't really read a lot of stories. Also, that was a good one. Yeah, so the whole thing of the main character is that while he's not a great man, he's not a hero. In wartime, you want him on your side in wartime, but in peacetime, he's a nuisance. If you get what I mean. The greatest wartime leaders are a terrible peace leaders. And that's a quote that's been there for hundreds of years. But the whole thing, the main character, Agent 1 of the Dawn of Planet stories that I'm doing, so throughout the story, he's growing up. He's 12 in the first book, and he was 7. And in the end of these, an anti-hero basically, yeah. So the main character, he was 12 in the first story. He was 12 in the Attack from Space. He was 13 in Dawn of Planet's Vengeance, and through the Gathering Storm, is spaced over 3 years. So he's basically 14, 15, 16, 17. Well, it ends when he's 16. The story, the Gathering Storm ends when he's 16. So it's sort of like this is the fantasy parts where there's agencies in this book that basically young people can become agents and basically fight for can become covert agents. It's not really explained really. It's but you don't have to explain everything in a sci-fi story, and but it's sort of the main character is the leader of an agency, of one of the agencies, and he created it when he was 10 years old, um, and almost dissolves. The idea is, well, not the idea is, it happens in this book as mentioned, but he almost dissolves it twice. And then he sort of turns it into an £1 billion agency between Vengeance and Gathering Storm, because they pretty much helped fight an alien invasion, and it's their technology that's because they have sci-fi technology from allies that they've made, secret alien allies that they've made. But I sort of based it like a 1950s science fiction story. But I've nicked something from Star Wars. I haven't nicked anything per se, but I nicked the idea from Star Wars. If you go and watch something like Star Trek, everything looks new in Star Trek. Whereas George Lucas made Lived in Worlds, George Lucas made Star Wars. It's like Lived in Worlds. I think that's the perfect quote for it. George Lucas made places in Star Wars look old and battered, like they've been there for hundreds of years, and it adds something. It adds like these alien races haven't just emerged out of nowhere, and then suddenly they've got all this great tech and that they've actually developed over time. And I like the concept, so I did the same. I did the same sort of narrative. That's main can be long. What's your favorite book? Can be any genre. Can be long. My favorite book is Lord of the Rings. I love that story. Um, it's also one of my favorite films of all time. But Lord of the Rings is one of the greatest stories ever written. But up there would be Maze Runner. Maze Runner would be up there. And I don't really have many other big well-known stories, to be honest. The BFG is one of my favourites, actually, saying that. The BFG, the Roald Dahl book's one of my favourites. because it's the book I loved when I was a kid, and that's the only Roald Dahl book I still have, and I still read that once in a while. Also Harry Potter. Harry Potter's another one. I've got all 8 books downstairs on the bookshelf. Yeah, it is dystopian. That would be lo-fi as well. That would be lo-fi writing because it's based in America. The films are also great. Reading honors class, is that like a degree? Yeah, is that like a degree? Oh, because you said because of the honors on the end, I would have thought it was I would think it's like a degree. Oh, okay. Because in the UK, if it's got honors, it's like a degree. Because I'm currently near the end of studying for a Bachelor of Science, and that says honors at the end because that would be a Bachelor of Science with honors. We learn things more quick and go into harder topics. Oh, okay, yeah. Because I'm as much as I love writing, which as much as I love writing, I want to be a filmmaker. But I want to eventually. The idea is I want to take one of my stories and then adapt it into a film. Because then I can write the screenplay because I'm actually qualified to do that. I'm qualified as a screenwriter. Um, oh, pardon me. So yes, everybody, I lost my Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe game card, and now I found it. Cool. But yeah, Maze Runner, I do really enjoy. It's a great film. How much money would that cost? A Bachelor of Science? In the UK, you've got something called student finance. In the UK, you've got something called student loan. So there's a thing called student loan in the UK, so you can get money, but it's not cheap. Well, if you're going to uni in the UK, it's cheap. It's more expensive because they basically made the government about 20 years ago made it. The government in about 1999. I wouldn't know. I'm only in 7th grade. Yeah, the UK in 99 made it in about 1999. The UK made it made it that they made they made higher education courses paid for paid. So it used to be free, but now it's not. So it does cost money, yes. But yeah, that's why I write. I write because I want to. I write because I just want to tell stories. No matter what story it is, I just want to tell a story. In fact, I can tell everybody the first couple of lines of my next book, which won't, well, not my next, it might not be my next book, but it's the next, it might not be my next book, but it will be one of the next books. Well, it'll be the next Dawn of Planets story, which it won't come out till next year. Yeah, so forever is to get out information. Yeah, I mean, coming up with stories for me was a way of escaping. So if I could pretend, that this story exists, I could. Hello, Kanita, Pat. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. So if I could pretend that this story exists, basically it was escapism from an hour, and then I could go back to remembering that I'm a bullied kid. That's that I well I could remember what then it was I could be someone else for an hour in my head. I could um imagine this far off planet with green skies and red grass. Um I could imagine talking mountains, mountains that go higher and higher until they can go no further. Um and then because that was my way of escaping from going, oh, I'm now just a bullet short kid again. A better analog stick. I mean, I need a better analog stick. My Switch Joy-Cons are nearly broke because my fingers are too big for the analog sticks. I'm quite a short person. I'm only 5'9", but the Joy-Cons on the original Switch, the analog sticks were a little bit too small. My thumbs would droop over the sides of them. But yeah, storytelling is storytelling's been around for thousands of years. In many different narratives. Stick drift. Um, I mean, I hate stick drift too. I did a video a couple of years ago. I did a duplication glitch. I did a duplication glitch Minecraft video, and seconds after I duplicated it, I Joy-Con drifted. Don't tell my friend to watch cartoons at 10 years old. Why? I'm confused. But yeah, Simone, Man, 2011. Is YouTubers a what? Yeah, basically, like storytelling has been around for thousands of years in different forms, narratives. Storytelling could be anything. You could draw a picture. You could draw a picture. You can draw a picture, and that would be a story. Even the cave paintings done by the cavemen back tens of thousands, 20, 30,000 years ago. Even the cave paintings done by the cavemen, they're all stories. They all tell us what they did and who they were. Storytelling can be anything. It can be just writing a news report about, the serial killer that was caught. That's a news story that you have to document. Oh, he's asking for a shout. Also, I mean, storytelling is around us. It's nice to everyone's imagination. Yeah, I've always been told I have a very big, very good imagination. I was always told I had an incredible. I was always told that had an incredible imagination and that I could some of the stuff I could imagine was a lot more. Um, Halfway through, I did an idea, but the one thing I won't do is describe the characters. So as I said, I described Agent One in the Dawn of Planet story as young, short, skinny, and then in the later story, I described him as average height, a little bit overweight. What is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure rated? I don't know. I don't know what I don't even know what that is. That is a great quote. Actually, that is a great quote. You start building your own universe. That is true. So you could even create your own multiverse in a way. So you've got alternate timelines. I drafted out like a multiverse thing the other year for my Dawn of Planet story that everyone can buy on Amazon. And the sort of multiverse thing I drew out was basically Earth 69, Agent 1 never born. Earth 65, the Imperial Union never takes over. Earth 65, the Imperial Union never Earth never becomes a fully fledged member of the Imperial Union. The Imperial Union never makes Earth a new capital. I have a question for you. Yep, what question's that? There's so many alternate universes, yeah. But my idea is you don't actually. I don't think so. I don't know, to be honest. Kineta Pat, I don't actually know. I've never played Five Nights. I've never played Five Nights at Freddy's, so I wouldn't know. Um, Marvel Comics, yeah. I'd actually argue it's more of a DC. Multiverse is more of a DC thing. Multiverse is more of a DC thing. Up until Marvel have done their multiverse saga recently, multiverses was more of a DC thing. So DC did a thing called Crisis on Infinite Earths, when basically the Anti-Monitor turns up and he destroys the Anti-Monitor just turns up and he basically destroys all the parallel universes and all the universes. Um, and that was also DC's way of rebooting DC, or basically they merged all the planets into one. So basically, the universe had one Batman. That's where the comics went into Earth Prime. I also hate the Batman. I hate the Batman who laughs. I don't think I've seen that one. I've seen the Killing Joke. The Killing Joke's pretty good. Um, another one I quite like. Another one I quite like, to be honest, is another one I quite like is I gotta go. I gotta go. I want to play for Five Nights at Freddy's. Cool. It's all right. Thank you for joining the live stream, Kanito Pet, and I'll see you in the next one. Um, one of my favorite DC comics is called The Dark Knight Returns, and it's Ronald Reagan, the President of the United States. I thought it was Ronald Reagan. It's not. The President of the United States has forced all the superheroes to go. The President of the United States forced all the superheroes to quit. So basically, Wonder Woman got booted off Earth, Green Lantern got booted off Earth, Batman went into retirement, and Superman became the poster boy. Whereas Superman was given free reign to do whatever he wanted. He basically fights for leads the American troops. But Gotham becomes crime-ridden, and through the whole first part of the comic, and it's actually an animated film. It's very graphic. It's one of the most graphic Batman stories. But throughout the 10 years later, after being forced into retirement, Bruce Wayne decides to come back, and it results in him basically bringing law and order to Gotham and aggravating the president. And because the Soviet Union and United States go to war and nuke America, Batman basically takes control of Gotham. He takes control of Gotham, and the only city with law and order is Gotham. So the president, that aggravated that Batman's doing what he can't, sends Superman to go and kill him. And it has one of the most brutal Batman fights where Batman has his hands around Superman's throat and says, "I want you to remember my hand at your throat now and all the years to come. Remember the one man that beat you." And I think it's one of the best lines I've ever seen. It's one of the best DC lines there is. But yeah, storylines are. If you want to write stories, I think what you have to do is you've got to read. No matter what it is, you've got to read new stories, old stories, even watch films. Even watch films and TV series is just watch dramas. I watched. This is a funny story. Part of the tension between two characters in The Gathering Storm, Grenzy Grenell and Agent One, I put in because I watched a film about two football managers having a go at each other. And I really liked the rivalry between them. And I was like, I could use something like this. Just watch whatever, read whatever, and it works. It does work. But yeah, one of my I watched a film called The Damned United, and I was writing Dawn of Planets: The Gathering Storm at the time, so I knew that these two characters didn't like each other. There is no You wouldn't if you're writing a novel. If you're writing a novel, for example, there is no correct way to do it. It's the whatever way you want to do it. So I come across something recently where I found out there's a book which the chapter is 81,000 words. My book, Dawn of Planets One's War, which comes out next year, it's the sequel to the Gathering Storm, which come out this year. One's War, the whole book is 70,000 words. So how big that one chapter is. My book was 300 pages and 70,000 words. So you got to think that chapter. That's probably an extra, 100 pages. So that's a 400. That's probably like a 400 or 500 page chapter. But yeah, so I was. This was back in 2020. This was back in 2021. I was. This was back in like 2018, 2019 at the time actually. I was beginning to no 2021. I think 2020. I was well in 2020. The UK was in lockdown, so you were basically sat at home for 3 weeks. You were sat at home for 3 months because you couldn't leave. Well, it's not that you couldn't leave the house. You were advised not to because of COVID. So you couldn't travel more than 5 miles. But for example, um, yeah, for example, so the UK. So I was sat there and I was watching a film called The Damned United, and it's about Brian Clough. Brian Clough was the manager of Leeds United football club, soccer club if you're American, in 1974, but he got sacked after 44 days because he had a rivalry with the previous manager. And there's a clip of them arguing and just how bad and heated their rivalry was. And I drew inspiration from that. I was like, Agent One and Grenzy Grenell and the Dawn Prince, the Gathering Storm, they should have something like this. I'm almost close to finishing one, but then I, I almost don't want to finish it when I realize all the others out there who are much more educated. Um, but that doesn't. But that doesn't mean anything. That does. If they're more educated, that does not mean anything. I would rather hire someone that I would rather hire someone if I was a filmmaker, which I want to be, and studying. I would rather hire someone that is not. I'd rather hire someone that's not, the best. I'd rather hire someone that I know, that I trust and know that is gonna turn up and do a job, if you get what I mean. So I'm not the best writer. I'm not the best writer. I'm not highly educated. I can barely write. I can barely spell. I mean, I generally can barely spell. Um, the amount of times I do make spelling mistakes is ridiculous, and then I have to go and re-edit them. Um, but if they're more edgy, if you publish a novel, if you do finish a novel, then you're further ahead than someone that hasn't. If you get what I mean. If you finish a novel, think about all the people that start and generally don't finish their novel. You're better than they are, because at least you finished it. It's like, for example, a couple of years ago in a college class, we weren't taught how to do this assignment, but one person turned up and refused to submit and didn't turn up with anything. Even though we didn't understand it, we turned up. Everyone else turned up. We all turned up with something. And so, if you've published a novel, at least you've done something, as opposed to someone that's wrote a novel for ages, turned around and not finished it. If you've wrote a novel in, like, say, 6 weeks, say you wrote a novel in 3 months, which that's roughly how long it took me to write Archipelago when I published it in 2023. George R.R. Martin, who's basically also the novel I was about to finish was about a young boy living inside a beautiful house when as soon as mother dies to cancer from smoking, his father going through major depression. That isn't it. Also, the novel I was to finish was a young boy. But then someone would love that story because there's an audience for every story. There's an audience for absolutely every story. I shot a short film last year where the whole film takes place. The film was my idea, and I wrote the script for it. The short film, it's basically about a guy that's murdered someone getting a letter saying he's going to die in 7 days. And the letter itself is what kills him because the paranoia in the letter's supernatural, so the letter's out to kill him. It sounds boring, but people would enjoy it. But also the prep, that's what you call it, the little story, the story you just put in, which I would imagine that's the premise of the story. That would be a great read for people that are going through mental health problems. That would be a great story for them. They can see stories about people that have gone through it, and maybe they appear happier and they appear better on the other side. Because that's what they need: positivity, entertainment, the inspiration. That's what a story is. A story can be anything you want it to be. And that's the beauty of it. And also, a story can go from anywhere. I'm a little different with the way I write things. Me and a guy in my college class had a discussion about this about 2 or 3 years ago. He believes he prefers his characters to go from the top to the gutter. He believes likes his characters to go from being top of the world to then being to the gutter at the bottom, as opposed to I believe personally in my writing that the main character should start off in the gutter and rise to the top. So that I believe the character should always start off low and then end on high. And I've done it with everything. So the main character of the Dawn of Planet story, Agent 1, he starts the story as an timid kid that's gone through a year of hell. So at the end of the story, he's more confident than he's ever been, and that he's prepared to fight to the death to defend the United Kingdom from the Zarodian invasion. If you get what I mean. I'm gonna be back in a second. He goes to the loo. To be honest, I'm completely the opposite. I can't write. I'm not very good at writing emotion. I'm better at writing the story, but when I write emotion, I don't think I do it justice. Basically, what you've just said as well. By the end of the story, his father abandoned him, and then his teacher adopted him. There's a story that has a similar thing to that, which is a good read. Which might be, and it's a film as well. It might be a good watch. It might be a good watch to take some inspiration from. It's a similar premise. So there's a book called Goodnight, Mr. Tom. It was wrote in the 1980s. It's a British story. This might be a lower level book and film, but Matilda. I mean, Matilda is a great story. A great story, great film. The only problem I have with Matilda is I was inspired by Matilda. Yeah, the only thing I hate about Matilda, the Matilda film, or not the musical, the original. The only thing I hate about the original film was that Danny DeVito based it in America when it was a British story. I hate when they do that. I hate when they change the setting. It's the one thing that I hate. It's one of the main things I hate about when people do that, when they change locations. Well, apart from that, it's a great film. And the funny thing is, he wanted to go with He wanted to go with an all-American cast, and then suddenly he hears this. He hears Pam Ferris, who was a very British actress, and he heard her voice and was like, "Yeah, she's the Trunchbull." And this whole American cast went straight out the window. I hate it. I hate it though, but I also hate when they change. I also hate when they change characters from male to female sometimes, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. An example I can give of when it worked was the book by Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days. They did a TV series, BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. The BBC is the biggest TV channel on Earth. It broadcasts everywhere. The oldest and largest the oldest and largest broadcaster is the BBC. Yeah, the BBC did a adaptation of it. Oh, hello, Marion Elkstad. Elkstali, welcome to the stream. But yeah, so Around the World in 80 Days, it was done by the BBC, which is the biggest broadcaster in the world. BBC airs in America, airs its shows in America, all across the world. They did an adaptation. They did an adaptation of Around the World in 80 Days in 2021 with David Tennant as Phileas Fogg. But Detective Fix, they renamed to Abigail Fix and made her a journalist. And Passepartout, the valet butler, they cast a black actor, and they actually factored it into the story, and it worked. But sometimes that doesn't work, like the Ghostbusters film in 2016, where they basically changed everyone to female, and for absolutely no reason. And the film absolutely tanked because it was terrible. But yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I can have to say this change. I can have to say this. Changing races for characters in movies is fine. It just makes sure the new actor or person has fine. My grandma got to stop texting fast. So this live action. Yeah, the only time I ever thought it was generally wrong was a historical drama they did on Henry VIII, where they cast a black actress to play Anne Boleyn, which Anne Boleyn was a real woman, was a true historical woman, and they should never have done that because that's basically mocking British history. But I think I didn't agree with that. That's the only sort of change in character swapping that I didn't agree with. And I was like, well, that's not something you do with if you're generally doing like a real character, you generally don't do that by. But I said it does work. It does work, and sometimes it works, but then if you're doing, as I said, if you're doing a historical drama about, the wife of a king, you've at least got to cast, you at least got to go with the history of what she actually looked like. But yeah, storytelling is one of the greatest mediums, and I love it. I wish I could write more, but at the moment I'm very busy writing a dissertation, so I haven't exactly wrote anything for months. I do want to write something. I don't know what I'm going to write though. I never, but I never understand why they do it. Why they do it though? Is it for diversity or equality? I think it's for diversity or equality. Sometimes it's both. But I said me and a guy in my college class were talking about this because he had a different opinion I did. He said, "Well, but she's not that important in history." But I said, "Well, what if they did Mandela as a white man? That you can't that that would be wrong." But I still think I think it's wrong to cast. I think it was wrong for them to cast Anne Boleyn, a black actress as Anne Boleyn, because Anne Boleyn was a genuine historical, real woman and a genuine Queen of England, and she was white. But it would be wrong if you did it anyway. I mean, it would be wrong either way. If even if someone did that, say did a film about Nelson Mandela, but then cast, I don't know, Brad Pitt, for example, as Mandela, it would be wrong because Mandela's a real person, and it's the same. I think it's the same with Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn was a genuine, real person. But yeah, I can understand why they do it in stories and like fiction stuff, but in like a historical drama, I I think it's wrong in a historical context to do it. History should not be changed. It's historical. Yeah, that's 100% true. I mean, I'm a really big lover of history, so obviously it's one of my strongest subjects. So it does annoy me when they go and do things like that because I'm like, well, that's not what happened. It's like all the bad stuff in history. All the bad stuff in history, you've got to acknowledge it happened, and then you've got to sort of move on from it and say never again. But you can't keep bringing it up and then blaming everybody because of it. Um, I like this comedian the other year. He said, "Why am I being blamed for what the Germans did in 1930?" He said, "I was born in 1978. I didn't do anything." And his joke, it was a joke, but kind of right. Why are we judging people today based on what people did 400 years ago and what their families did 400 years ago? You're not your ancestor. Because all the research you have to do. I wrote a story last year. I wrote a story back in like 2022. It's not published. It might be in the future, but it was called Guild of the Empire. Also, people will bring up anything, no matter what, how long ago, to prove a point. But half the time, I had a debate with a guy from Syria who's in my friend's Discord server, and he was basically trying to say to us that how bad Britain were, about how bad he was trying to say about how bad Britain were in India. And I brought up a point. I said, if you look at the history, they were bad, but they actually fought the Indians at the time actually thought the British were kinder to them. They loved the British more than the French. Sorry, the Indians at the time loved the British more than the French because they thought the British were kinder to them than the French were. And basically, because obviously of the British Empire, they say, oh, Britain bad. But in that case, it says that they thought the British respected them more than the French did. Because history is a two-sided thing. Everyone always has their side of it. I mean, America's done it as well. I mean, I love a show called the Grand Tour on Amazon. But they made a joke about this years ago. They said that they made a joke about America and said that's like going to war with Iraq over Saudi Arabia and knocking down 2 towers. And yeah, and they had a point. America went to war with Iraq over 9/11 and weapons of mass destruction. There were no weapons of mass destruction, and Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with 9/11. And they were joking. That's like going to war with Iraq over what a couple of Saudi Arabians did. And the joke kind of makes sense because America technically did do that. They technically did invade a country on false pretenses. Yeah, I mean, that's 100% true. Because you've got Trump over in America at the moment, I love this comedian's joke the other week. Donald Trump called Zelensky a dictator, the president of Ukraine. And I love this comedian's joke. He said about this is the first time in US history that America has openly attacked one of the parties, but not the invaded. It's openly attacked one of the. This is the first time in history that an American president has attacked one of the parties, but not the invader. The invaded, and he called him a dictator. And I love this guy's joke. He went, "That's like Franklin Delano Roosevelt saying, well, what? Why were the harbors? Why were the ships in Pearl Harbor in the first place?" And when he said that joke, I was like, I cracked up. I was like, "That's true." What Donald Trump said about Zelensky was like, the equivalent would be FDR turning around and saying, "Well, why were there ships in Pearl Harbor in the first place?" Because, Mr. President, that's where normally ships go. When they're not at sea, they're in a harbour. when looking at America's history, its whole thing being anyone is welcome quality. They really do back on that a lot. Hmm. I mean, Pearl Harbor's an interesting one. They reckon the British had prior warning about Japan was going to attack Pearl Harbor, and they reckon the British government decided not to do anything. And it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy theory, and they reckon the information's locked up. But they reckon the British found out because obviously Britain was more powerful than America at the time and had better tech. They reckon the British intercepted a Japanese attack plan about Pearl Harbor 30 minutes before, but they didn't inform the Americans because they knew the Americans would join in on their side. And Britain was nearly bankrupt. Britain was nearly bankrupt. The Germans were bombing them day in day, were bombing the British cities day in day out, or day and night. And yeah, they reckon the British intercepted Japan's order to attack Pearl Harbor, and they didn't do anything. And they reckon it was because Winston Churchill reportedly said, "We need the Americans on our side." It's a really interesting one, which is meant to be true, but it isn't proven. I'm not sure what we should build. But then, well, compared to me, you know a lot about history. How did you learn so much? Well, in the UK, history is a core component. Well, it's not. I took history as a GCSE when I was in school. In the UK, we do some things called GCSEs, and basically you have your core ones which are compulsory, so like maths, English, science, and then you can pick some. So I had history. I picked history, drama, and then obviously design, woodwork. But history was my favourite. But then also, YouTube has a lot of cool documentaries. But yeah, they reckon the British knew Pearl Harbor was going to be attacked, and they didn't do anything because they knew America would. Why is life so confusing, man? It's not, to be honest. The UK's education system is quite strong, so that's what they do. But for example, are you American? Yeah. So I know in America you finish school at 18. So I got a lot of American viewers. I've got a lot of American subscribers. I know in America you finish school at 18. Well, I have to go to college, so technically 21. But yeah, in the UK you finish school at 16 and college isn't compulsory. But you can do whatever college course you want. Like college in the UK is basically completely different. College in the UK is where you learn like genuine trade stuff, like jack of all trade stuff. Like you do a course in metalwork, building. For example, I did film production because I wanted to be a filmmaker. Some people would do nursing, uh, some people would do nursing. So, not in the UK. You don't learn to drive at 16 in the UK. In the UK, it's 17. Inside Europe is Finland. But technically, colleges in the UK, it's not compulsory. If you want to go to work, if you want to just start working, you can. But then your wages are different. But yeah. But most people in the UK see America and think it's actually quite a thing. Even though Britain and America are the oh, here, if you don't finish college completely and just start working lower pay, you will be forced until it's done. Yeah, the UK is not compulsory to go to college. So I know people that didn't. And just went straight into work. But then most people do go to college because that's where you learn trade skills. Like metalwork, that's where people go to do, they can go to art courses, do art courses, graphic design. That's where they learn all that. That's why the UK's got such a big industry for all those jobs, because they teach them. Psychology. I know they teach that in the UK as well. I mean, they teach everything. So I can work as a psychiatrist. My old film production lecturer, she left to become a psychotherapist, which is that's quite a career swing. But the thing is, people in the UK see America and think, what? You get what I mean? But mainly it's school shootings. Mainly it's school shootings, for example, or mass shootings. In the UK, there hasn't been one for 30 years. No, you don't really. Well, managing money. I think I think pretty much is self-explanatory. Doing taxes, no, no school will do that. Schools are there to teach you the bare minimum: how to read, how to write, geography, history. Well, actually, maybe not in America, but in the UK, they have to teach history. They have to teach geography, and it's sort of like it gives people in Britain quite an interesting worldview of where They know, so I can picture the globe right now. I can name a lot of the countries on the map. And they have to teach it. The one thing that the British people can't understand, though, is score shootings, or America's thing with bearing arms. That's the one thing the British people can't understand. If you get what I mean. That's the one thing British people can't understand. I use a small amount of the actual subjects I learn right now in my life. When will the cashier ever ask, sell for X for that price? That's, well, I said that. I said that when I was in school, to be honest. I said that to, they teach algebra in the UK, and I turned around and said that. When am I going to need to learn A equals B? Honestly, algebra, never understood it. But yeah, another one for example, everybody. Every British person looks at the American government and goes, every time you have a school shooting or a mass shooting in America, every British person goes, why didn't you just change the rules? Humans are no exception, or anyone for that matter, because the reason the UK government, the reason British people don't understand it is because there was a school shooting in the UK in 1996. The British government came together the next day and banned guns. They banned handguns in the UK. And most British people don't understand how America can't just do the same. If you get what I mean. It is interesting. I do find it interesting. Because I saw some, what was it? I saw something a while back where an American turned around and said, will my right to bear arms be respected in England? Well, of course not, because you can't just bear arms in the UK. 300 years ago, 400 years ago, yes, you could, but not in 2025. Why would you need to bear arms in 2025? Have you seen America too much guns collect or even obtain for that, and too much people hold guns legally? I jokingly said this to an American in a live stream years ago. I said, if you can take abortion if you can take abortion out of the US Constitution, you can take guns. That too many people hold them legally. Yeah, but that was the same with the UK. But a lot of the people that held them legally in the UK handed them back when the UK government went and handed them to the police when the UK government brought in the law. Well, I say a lot of them. Criminals kept them, of course. It's actually illegal now. If you pull out a gun in public, if you pull a gun in the UK, if you pull a gun out on someone in public, that's 5 years prison. Just not even shooting someone, pulling a gun out in public can carry you, well, without just cause. Well, technically you can go to prison for that in the UK because you're carrying an offensive weapon. I just fallen down a hole. How did I do that? Did you know Joe Biden supported it? I didn't actually. Well, Joe Biden supported a lot of stuff. The only... I mean, knives are offensive weapons, technically. They are, but if they are, yeah. Certain ones are. In the UK, certain ones are. But even if you could obviously, on that regard, it's only an offensive weapon if you brandish it in public. But on the abortion thing, I only agree with it. Just to put it out there, everybody, I only agree with abortion if you've had a child through being raped. Because why should you have to carry someone that's done a crime on you, kid? But you know, if you don't want kids, you don't want kids. So everyone's got a choice. I might not agree with everything, but everyone's got a choice. It's their life, it's their body. Yeah. Oh, my back is sore anyway. Oh, my nose. But yeah, novel writing is great, everybody. My back is sore. Never seen that. Mostly not all the time. Yeah. Right. We've had 159 people watching this stream. Bloody hell. We've got 6 people watching it now. This stream will end soon, guys. This stream's going to end soon. Because it's 1 in the morning. I've been streaming and I've been up since 6:30. In the UK time, it is 1 in the morning, and I've been streaming since 6:30. No, I've been up since 6:30. Well, 6:30 a.m. So I've been up for 19 hours at this point. Yay! But thank you everybody for joining this stream. I was knackered earlier on because of a college assignment that I was really struggling with, and I was exhausted. There will be a stream tomorrow. It will start early. There will be a stream tomorrow, but it will probably start after 2 o'clock. It'll probably start after 2 o'clock. Because there's a football, well, in America you'd call it soccer. In the UK we call it football. Then debating politics. Well, essay advice. I mean, I had to write. I have got to write an essay, but I've got to write a huge essay for. I've got to write a huge essay for. I took a uni level course. In the UK, you have two. You have further education. You have FE, further education, which is when you go to college. Majoring. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. So the correct term for me is I'm studying for a degree in film production. So obviously, technically it's media. So even my books would work in it. But yeah, in the UK you do further education, and if you want to go on and stay and do a uni thing, that's higher education. So if you're doing higher education in the UK, if you do further education in the UK, you don't have to pay for it. The government pay for it. It's only higher education that you have to pay for. Anyway. So yes, I do have an essay to write. I have a 7,000 word essay to write. And it's due in on the 2nd of May. So I've got just under a month. And then that would be my education of the last 18 years. That would be my education of the last 18 years complete. $7,000. It's a dissertation. No, so if you're in the UK, when you go to college, you have one thing. You have one thing that you do. So you're basically doing the thing you want job you want to do. Why 7,000? That's actually quite small for a dissertation. Some people's dissertations are sometimes 10 to 50,000 words. 7,000 is quite cute actually. 7,000 is quite low for a dissertation. It's not too bad. One of my book chapters recently, everybody, was 8,000. Are we gonna hit 200 views on this stream? We are at 165. 7,000 is quite simple. Every essay I did since when I've been in college, every essay I've done has been over 2,000-3,000 words. But you can go 10% under or 10% over. For me, the average essay. But yeah, but I think you did say you were grade 7th grade. So that's normally simple around that age. Yeah, but also an essay at that age, you don't have to do academic. An essay at that age, you don't have to do academic references, or you don't have to back up your information via multiple sources, and have enough references. Well, references is just another word for source. You don't have to have a bibliography full of, I don't know, 100 references and information to back up the claim you're making. Everybody, we're about, in a couple of years' time, we will be at my exact height. I make this joke every stream. Let's quickly go in. What happens if you're one letter off? Nothing. You can be 10% under or 10% over. So if you're doing a 1001, if you're doing a 1001, it can be. If you're doing a 1,000 word one, it can be 900 or 1,100. If you're doing a 2,000, it can be, I don't know, 1,800 or as high as 2,200. 3,000, it would be, 300. So 7,000 would be, I don't know, 700. 10% would be 700 under, 700 over, I think. I don't like to go over, but right. Oh, bollocks, don't want to do that. I lost that then. But yeah. If it's one letter off, then that's nothing. Let's go to the map room and look at the whole Minecraft map a minute. I'm going the wrong way. I need to go this way. Might as well take this path. Might as well take the path to the bridge, I think. So, might as well go this way then. This is the path I want. This one right here. So, the bridge I'm going to take. The snow globe's looking nice today. Here we go. Let's go. Nothing like the teacher would know nothing, or you would get 0 points in credits. We've just hit my height in views. We've just hit my height in views. I am 175 centimeters, and we've just we just hit 175 views. So everybody, give yourself a pat on the back. Let's aim for 200 now. There we go. Let's go this way. Right. No, we're still stuck at 175 views. So we're still stuck on my height. There we go. Now we're going to... Oh, hold on. I've come too far. There we go. We've come too far. We didn't... Ooh. Man, I have to go. I need to finish writing this essay. It's worth more than my freaking grade. Okay, thank you for joining the live stream, and I'll see you in the next one. Right, thank the mat room. Wow. I will be ending the stream soon because I'm knackered. I've been up since half 6. And I've been sitting down so long my ass has gone numb. Goodbye, Simeon Man 2011. Thank you for joining the stream, and I'll see you in the next one. The next one will probably be tomorrow, everybody. Next stream will probably be tomorrow, but Everton are on at 12:30, so I'm most likely not going to stream before until like 2 o'clock because Everton are on, and I've got to watch Everton. And I've got to watch Everton take on Arsenal. Here we go. And I'm probably going to end this stream here actually, so thank you for watching everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.